All right. I don't need a microphone. I've got a loud voice anyway, but I might as well have it. I just want to say a few things. First of all, thank you, thank you, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, we're going to win Arizona, but it's going to be because of you. And I tell you, after visiting Old Town Scottsdale this morning with my kids, how many of you are making phone calls and how many of you are knocking doors? Well, you guys are a lot tougher than the Vances because my three kids, after about 15 minutes in the Scottsdale heat, were like, we're done. We're done with this. So I admire y'all. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for what you're doing. And I was with Charlie Kirk last night. And, you know, I said what I'll say. I'll repeat what I said to him and what I said to the audience there in Mesa. Look, we need every single person in this race to get out there and vote 10 times. Yeah. That makes you all nervous, right? We're Republicans. We don't vote 10 times. We only vote once. But here's the way. Here's the way that we can vote legally 10 times. Get yourself to the polls and then get 90 of your friends and family to vote. Right? Every single person does that. Now remember, Arizona last time, what 10,000, 11,000 votes in the state of Arizona? So if every single person here, and just a few more on top of it, get 10 votes per person, that's like the margin in the state of Arizona. It's an unbelievable thing, an unbelievable opportunity. I see every poll right now that I've seen in the past couple of days, both the internal polls and the public polls, they have us up. We are winning the state of Arizona. We're winning the y'all, this is so important, and remember, we're not just doing this primarily because we want to beat the Democrats. As fun as it's going to be beat the Democrats, and I'm sure we'll all celebrate and have a lot of fun. The reason we're doing this is because Kamala Harris, if she becomes president, is going to screw this country up. And real human beings,
she already has.
She already did. They are going to hurt. They're going to hurt with Kamala Harris as president, because frankly, they're already hurting with Kamala Harris as vice president. I think we're saying, we don't want to give Kamala Harris a promotion. We want to say to Kamala Harris, you are fired. Go back to San Francisco. We're going to fight for this country and we're going to rebuild it. So, what I'm really curious about, I see everybody out there. I mean, I know you've all been working really hard. I want to hear from you all a little bit. And so, what I'd ask, I'm very curious, what are you hearing, right? Because I get out there, I give a lot of speeches, I talk to a lot of people. You don't get as much opportunity to actually hear what you all are hearing every single day. So if you got an idea for me, if you're hearing something I'm very curious about, man, I saw your hand in the air. What are you hearing from people?
Well, I just want the Arizona to follow procedures about counting the ballots at the precinct levels. They're not doing that, and they're not training the poll workers to do it or the inspectors. They break the law every election, and that's where the cheat is.
People are afraid it's going to be stolen. That's what people are
Especially with the governor, everybody to run.
Okay.
This is already law. This is already Arizona law to count the ballots at the precinct level.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things we're working on, I appreciate you bringing this to me, man. And one of the things, I will keep this, but one of the things we're working on at the federal level is the SAVE Act, which is a very illegal aliens should not vote in our elections, right? Isn't that common sense? I mean, and of course we have a lot of illegal aliens in the state of Arizona. Thanks to Kamala Harris's wide open border, we don't want them to vote in our elections, right? We want them to go home, go back to their countries. If they want to come back, they can come back through the proper channels. But we got to get people out of here and not let them vote in our elections. Ma'am, I will take this to heart. I'll actually take this to the RNC and see what we can do about it. But I appreciate you telling me about it. What else are we hearing out there, ma'am?
Project 2025.
They're flipping the script.
Right.
Yeah.
I say, look it up, fact check, because it's not associated with the problem. Policies.
That's right.
However, Kamala has that ad out there every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, they're running it all the time.
Trump talks about that.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that, ma'am. So the point that she made is, she's hearing a lot from voters about Project 2025, and of course Kamala Harris is running dishonest TV advertisements because Kamala Harris is a dishonest person who doesn't have a record to run on. Think about this. She cannot run on lowering the price of groceries or housing because her policies led to grocery and housing getting more expensive. She can't run on shutting down the southern border because she opened the southern border. What she can run on is a pack of lies, and that's exactly what she's doing. So when you're talking to people, just remind them, look, trust me, I know from experience, nobody speaks for Donald J. Trump except for Donald J. Trump, right? I think that's a story that a lot of people believe because they somebody with a 900-page policy document pretending they speak for Donald Trump. He's pissed off about it. He doesn't like anybody speaking for him, and that is the fact. So when we go out there and talk to people, just say, look, Donald Trump will set the Trump 47 agenda. Donald Trump will set the January 20th, 2025 agenda. No one else will do it. Don't believe the lies. Believe what you see. And what do we see out there? We see rising prices. We see a wide open southern border. That is the fruit of Kamala Harris's leadership. We can't let people believe the lies. And you all, of course, are on the front lines of pushing back against it. Ungrateful. Any other thoughts, sir?
So when it comes to just recently when Trump was here in Arizona, RFK came out in support.
Yeah.
And I believe Tulsi Gabbard as well.
That's right.
I think something like that I've talked to about a lot of my Democrat friends, they've actually started to become more understanding, seeing that other Democrats supporting. So
Yeah.
I think a big advancement for the Trump campaign has been getting Democrat support, moderate Democrat support, because it shows that it's not a divided country as people like to think. And I think that's just something I've noticed, so people have been waking up to that.
Yeah, well, what a great point that is. We are in the Republican Party in 2024. We're actually the Big Tent party in this country. Think about this. We've got on the Republican side, we've got more traditional, maybe establishment folks like Nikki Haley supporting Donald J. Trump. We've got Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, supporting Donald Trump. We've of course got me on the ticket, and then from the left, we got people like Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy. The Republicans are the party of common sense and normal people, right? We want a secure border. We want lower prices. We want the government not to censor people. Kamala Harris thinks that she shouldn't have to persuade you. She should shut you up. That's what she's running on. She's trying to silence the American people. Donald Trump and I are trying to persuade the American people. That's why we get out there and talk to every single person, even sometimes some of our hostile media friends in the back. Because if you're afraid of the American media, how are you ever going to do the job? How are you ever going to sit down with Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping? That is what Kamala Harris, she's run her entire campaign on, is running away from the American people. We're running to the American people and trying to persuade them that we deserve to be their next president, vice president. But I think it's a great point. Remind them, look, RFK and Donald Trump don't agree on every issue, just like Brian Kemp and Donald Trump don't agree on every issue. You know what they agree on? Is we don't want a crazy person as president of the United States. And that's why we're behind Donald J. Trump and not Kamala Harris as president, because we believe that normal, common sense people should run this country. Sure, we're going to have disagreements. That's what's great about this country. We can debate the disagreements, we can fight over them, but we ultimately come together for the common sense solutions in this country. It's a great message to run on. I think you ought to remind as many people as possible. We got the Big Tent in the Republican Party. Man, what are you hearing?
Hi. I'm a former Democrat, and you're one of the main reasons that we're here voting for Trump.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I've read the whole book multiple times, and just a lot of people are very uninformed or not on doers about how much Trump did for the working class.
Yes,
And
that's
that's
right.
one of the things that we're trying to explain to people is how much he actually did for the working class and for the lower class and people who needed help and us normal people out there that are working and just trying to make money. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big things we're trying to push and trying to help other people understand. And so I think that's one of the things that I feel like could help more is understanding like the cost and like the actual numbers that were during that time period, because we were uninformed ourselves of the time period. We just sometimes you just believe those lies that they post on what they say.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
those numbers are big when you see them side by side of where we are today and where we were 4 or 5 years ago. It's major.
That's exactly right, man. That's a great point, and I think it's something we got to carry out there. You know, there's this chart that I paid attention to for a long time, and basically what it did is it tracked the wages, the take-home pay of normal people, and then it compared it against the size of government and corporate profits. And you know what happened is workers were getting screwed for 35 years in this country. And for 4 years in the past 40, workers did better than government and did better than corporations. And you know the 4 years? The 4 years that Donald J. Trump was president of the United States. It's an amazing record to run on. Think about this. Donald Trump had the biggest period of rising take-home pay, not just for people at the top, for everybody. For middle-class Americans, for people who were at the lower end of the economic spectrum. Everybody was doing better. Everybody had higher take-home pay. And inflation was lower than 2%. Right? So historically low inflation inflation, rising take-home pay. That is the winning formula to deliver prosperity. And I think it's just so simple, right? If you work hard and you play by the rules, whatever school you went to, whatever your educational background is, you ought to be able to afford a good life, buy a home, and build a life in this country. That's what we want for every American citizen. Work hard and play by the rules. You keep your end of the bargain. You get a good life so long as the government and our leadership keep it their end of the bargain. Man, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate it. But I'm so thrilled to be here. I'm so thrilled to meet you. Let's make sure we get a photo with as many people as possible. But this is the message. Kamala Harris, you know, she has this slogan, "We're not going back." Think about this. Going back to what, Kamala? Rising take-home pay, a secure border. I'd like to go back to peace and prosperity. That's why I'm going to fire Kamala Harris and get her out of here. I want to make sure I get an opportunity to visit with everybody. So I do want to hear one more comment, one more question. Here. And then what we'll try to do is I'll just try to hang out, take as many photos as possible, and then we're going on to an event, I think, the Biltmore. We'll see y'all over there. Hopefully some of y'all over there. But for now, one more comment question, ma'am.
Okay, I have, I go door to door.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have found with Latinos that they watch Univision and all of those things.
Yeah.
So here comes this kid to the door. And I asked him, after talking a little bit, and he wasn't even registered, so I registered him right there. And I asked him, what are you going to vote for? Who are you going to? Well, I don't know, I think that's for Kamala because, Trump talks so bad about us. And I said, well, just tell me one thing. What did Trump do, what does Trump do for his job? He has a construction, isn't it? Who does he hire? Mostly Latinos, isn't it? Do you think that he would go against Latinos when he worked with them all his life? And then I started talking about, the open border and all the other things, and how everything is propaganda on the Spanish channels. So, so it's very important that we can reach the Latinos because there are many that I have gone to that were not registered or were not planning to vote or were planning maybe to change. So it is important,
Thank you, ma'am.
to let them know.
I appreciate that, and that's a good point. One thing we might say, and ma'am, you clearly know more about this than I do, but one thing that has worked a little bit when I go out there and talk to primarily Latino voters, especially in Arizona and Nevada, and by the way, when you come from Ohio, Nevadans really care about whether you say Nevada or Nevada. This is something I'm So if you ever hear me say Nevada, slap me across the face, it's Nevada, and I gotta remind myself of that. But man, one thing I've said is that the open border, if you look at the evidence, who does it hurt the most? It actually hurts working and middle class legal Latino immigrants, right? Because it's those communities that suffer the most when you allow drug cartels to take over the American southern border. And it's those communities that suffer the most. They're competing against illegal aliens for some of their jobs, so their wages go down. We want legal immigrants' wages to go up. Everybody who's here legally, whether they've been here for 10 generations or 10 minutes, we want their wages to go up, but they get crushed when you import millions of people illegally, and it's also insulting, right? If your parents or your grandparents or you yourself came to this country as a newcomer through the proper channels, we should have a president that fights for you, not that rewards the people who broke America's laws. And I think that's just an important point. We ought to carry that forward as much as possible. But you're exactly right, ma'am. I think sometimes we just have to ask. When they've listened to the propaganda press their whole lives, just ask, what is it that Donald Trump did that the press says was so bad, right? And just ask them. And sometimes I'll find that they'll say, the press said that he did that. Well, no, he actually didn't do that. They were lying about it. And I think sometimes if we correct that record and correct those lies, that's a way to bring people over to our side. But you guys are really doing the Lord's work, getting there on the ground, talking to people. Please keep on doing it. This state, think about this. This state could very well be the difference between whether we have President Kamala Harris or President Donald J. Trump, and it could be a few thousand votes. I think we're going to win by more than that, thanks in large part to your efforts, but we got to get out there and fight for every vote. God bless you all. Thank you for that.